This is Rapping with Leiberman. I'm Jon Leiberman. You know what we say here, real news, rappers' points of view, and welcome once again into the rap room. I am Jon Leiberman. We have a very special guest today on this program, sponsored by EveryJoe.com. You know who he is. Now Hip Hop Magazine founder, film producer, music executive. He does a little bit of everything. He's also a man a little in the shadows. He likes to live that way. Moe Rock, nice to see you, Mo.
John, thanks so much for having me. It's a joy to finally be on the air with the living legend himself.
Well, it's great to see you. We're going to kick it right off with a segment that we call The Rap, which is where we talk a little bit about you. The biggest question I have for you is, how do you spot talent?
Well, you know, John, there's a lot of people that want to be hip-hop artists. It's a little cheesy to say it's about that X factor, but it really is. What is it about the artist that makes them stand out in a special and unique way? If an artist is trying to be a clone of another popular artist, that to me is a red flag immediately. The question is, what do you have to contribute to the hip-hop community that no one else has been able to contribute before? Are you able to bring a new style? Are you able to bring a new finesse, a new aura? So really it's originality and finding that black sheep that has something that no one else has, that makes a hip-hop artist successful in this day of age with all the competition.
So based on all of that, who are some of the most talented rappers out there today?
Well, you have to stick with the classics. You have to stick with the people that have paid their dues and consistently been original. Guys like Eminem, guys like Jay-Z, guys like Nas, 50 Cent. These are guys that have not only proven to be original, but they've more importantly proven longevity, which is another way that you can rank who the best is. Because it's not only about whether or not you're hot today. It's, can you sustain a career 10, 15 years long in the game like those guys have? So off the top of my head, those are the guys that I would say have really proven themselves.
Is there somebody new that either is about to hop on the scene or has been on the scene for a little while, somebody that Moe Rock can sit here and say, this person is going to be big, you just may not know their name yet?
You know, there's a lot of people, and if you want to get those people, you got to visit nowhiphop.com. Nowhiphop.com is the place for tomorrow's superstars, not the people that you may have already heard of. And the subscribers to our magazine read about these people on a regular basis. Our featured artists, we actually recently featured 2 artists from New York, your hometown, just yesterday. So, we're always consistently adding unique, special artists that have potential to our official roster. We try to add about a dozen good artists to our roster and publish them in our magazines a month. We don't want to oversaturate it. We get hundreds of submissions a month, but we only pick the best of the best and the cream of the crop.
Give me those 2 names of who you just featured so we can look out for them.
It's actually a group called 88, and they're from New York. We just featured them yesterday. They're on the homepage of the website. They have a real smooth, melodic sound, and I'm sure they would love to be guests on your show. I could definitely speak to them about that. And there's also a lot of other artists that we feature on a regular basis. In the game today, as far as young, upcoming rappers, there's certainly a lot of talented guys. Like Bobby is a great rapper that's up and coming, that's facing some legal problems, who's a good friend of mine. We just have so many people from the list top to bottom, young, aspiring artists that are really taking advantage of the internet, because the middleman is gone now, John. Anybody with an internet connection now has the ability to reach millions of people, and that has really changed the game, so to speak, because now you no longer need to stand on the corner and sell your mixtape and have only 20 people a day listen to your music if you don't have a record label. Now you can go on YouTube and let 20 million people listen to your music, and it's a really exciting time to be involved in the hip-hop business because of all the changes that are going by way of technology.
Now, you started, if I'm correct, as an intern at a radio station. So what is the message there? Now you're smoking cigars on the patio in a gorgeous location in California. So what is the message there?
Very simple, John. And you know this just as well as I do, being someone that has worked to get on the Howard Stern Radio Network and get where you are. It's all about persistence. And if you love the industry and if you love what you do, persistence will pave the way. If you don't have persistence, forget about it. if you have persistence and you have a passion and a love, it'll come into fruition so long as you stick your guns to it.
All right, let's get to the segment of our show now that we call the one-on-one. And this is the part where we talk a little bit about what's happening in the news. And Mo, I got to start with this situation in Baltimore. There are now, 6 police officers charged in connection with the death of an African-American man. My question for you is, because you're on the cusp of this every day, how big is the racial divide in our country today?
Massive. Enigmatically huge, and it's unfortunate, and I see it every day. I have a Persian background, so I'm a minority myself. I had to deal with discrimination post 9/11. I had to deal with that in my own way, but my plight was not even anything close to the plight that the African Americans in this country have been facing and do face today. There's no group of people in the history of man that have had as much terrible things happen to them as the American slaves, as far as the torture, as far as the physical torture, and the things that happened to African Americans historically in this country. So today, we don't see slavery in the way that it existed a few hundred years ago. Today, we see slavery in a different sense. We see people pushed in high concentrated areas, people not given the proper opportunities with low-funded public school systems. That's part of the reason why Cindy Prater, who is a show host on NowHipHop.com, and I have a high school diploma program through Now Hip Hop, and it's not a GED program; it's a nationally accredited high school program. And for aspiring hip-hop artists and aspiring rappers who come to us for promotion, we also remind them and ask them, do you have a degree? Do you have a backup plan? Do you have an education? And if the answer is no, we explain to them the program that we provide through Cindy Prater, who operates a nationally accredited educational institution. So at the end of the day, it's unfortunate because the proper privileges are not given to everybody yet in this country, especially by way of education. If you go to different schools in different areas in the country, you see different results and different classroom sizes and different opportunities for the people. That's, in my opinion, one of the biggest problems right now. I think that if you fix the school systems and if you have equal schools that are all operated at the same professional level, instead of just, good schools in the suburbs and schools that are not funded properly in the urban neighborhoods, a lot of the problems that we see in this country will fade away. But as long as opportunities are divided, of course, the people are going to be divided. You can't uplift, people when you're not giving them the right opportunities through the system.
And people can just go to your website, Aspiring Hip Hop Stars, and find out about this high school program. It sounds like a great idea and an opportunity that I would think a lot of people would want to take advantage of.
That's right. They can go to Now Hip Hop and click on the Contact Us page and write a little bit about themselves, their age, what educational level they have, and we'll definitely give them more information about how to do it.
Let me ask you this. Do you think all police should wear body cameras?
Absolutely. I think that most police officers are great people. I wouldn't want to live in a world without police officers, John, and I don't think you would either.
No.
And I think that police officers get a bad rap, but like anything else in life, like any group of people in the world, you're going to have your bad apples. And the bad apples always ruin it for the rest of them. But even the good police officers can't argue with having a camera on them. Sure, it might be a little weird as a police officer, but I think that it'll definitely make those bad apples think twice before killing an unarmed man and shooting a man in the back, which is what we saw a few weeks ago. And it's just, tough time in America because we see these things every week. Every week, it seems like almost every other day, there's a new innocent man being killed. And it makes me question, John, is it the day of age that we live in, or is it just because of the technologies that we have now? Meaning, has this stuff always been happening? Or is it
Or are we
happening
just,
now?
are we acutely aware of it because of the 24-hour news cycle and, and everything like that? But you bring up an interesting point. Do you believe in the death penalty, Mo?
Yes, I do believe in the death penalty, but only if the person is a serial killer, a pedophile, something so gruesome something so vicious that the person, has no right to be on this planet anymore. I can't sit here and say that I don't think a pedophile or a serial killer should still be alive, but I don't think you should go to death for most nonviolent offenses. I don't think someone addicted to drugs should ever be considered to be on the death penalty, for example, or a drug dealer should be considered to go on the death penalty, for example. I think that you're treading on thin waters with that.
And quickly to politics, is Hillary Clinton beatable, Mo?
That's a tough question. I thought that Hillary Clinton was not beatable in '08, but I think that she is beatable. I think that there's still, of course, going to be a lot of support in her end, and she probably won't have much competition getting the Democratic, the nominee.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of people that have been brainwashed in the last few years to loathe Obama, and detest Obama for, like right now the lighting is a little bad for this interview I'm doing with you, just because I've got some trees here blocking the sunshine, but I'm not blaming Obama. But
You're not. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Of course, it's his fault.
So because of that reason, I think that there might be a lot of people leaning towards the right in the next cycle. So it's going to be a really interesting, a real interesting cycle. It just, I'm excited to see where it'll pan out. But it's going to be tough to beat her, for sure. Tough.
Is the Bruce Jenner situation culturally important in that it's highlighting transgender inequality?
I don't know if it's highlighting transgender equality. I think that mostly it's just because he's a pop culture icon, and I think a lot of people are just shocked by what's happening with Bruce. And most people, I think, are tuning in because they hope to see a train wreck. I don't think this is really causing much empathy towards that community. I don't know how the community feels about it necessarily. I'm just saying it from an average person's perspective that's not in that community. I don't know how much good this does. Sure, it puts someone in the mainstream media that's taking courageous first steps, if you will. But I just don't know if the general population is going to really feel sympathy. I think most people are just so shocked by this. That's why they can't get their eyes off of it. I don't know if they're really taking much time to really think about empathizing as much as they're just, watching and saying, wow.
That's a good point. All right, the final 2 minutes of the program, we call it our Wrap It Up segment, and we begin our Wrap It Up segment with this. This is from EveryJoe.com, the headline, "What should we do about China?" My question for you, Mo, do you view China as a major threat?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, for a few years now, a few decades now, China has been loaning America ridiculous sums of money. China has been buying land in America left and right. China has been buying businesses in America left and right. In New York, where you live, what was it, a couple years ago, you might know the name of that big building. That was bought by Chinese, investors.
Investors, yep.
That multi-billion-dollar building. So American historical buildings are now being bought by Chinese. Lands by the thousands of acres are being bought by the Chinese. The government is being loaned money left and right and has been by the Chinese. So is China a threat? I don't know if they're a threat, but I know that they have a lot of control over the U.S. And if that day ever comes where they decide to use that power, it'll be interesting. I think that, China has a big hand in the United States, and it seems like they're only interested in growing that hand for whatever reason. What's that reason? I don't know, but I do know that they have an interest in controlling as many things in the United States as possible.
All right, let me ask you this. What are you working on now? Give us a taste of what's next for Moe Rock as we show the viewers your Twitter address at Moe Rock online on Twitter. Tell us what you're working on.
Well, I'm really focused with my team of people on Now Hip Hop. And over the course of the next few weeks, we're going to fundamentally transform the website. And as of now, there's lots of people that want to get their music out there. Maybe you don't know the first steps to take to get your music heard. Maybe you've been working on an album, working on a mixtape, working on songs. Contact us. We have representatives that will talk with you and listen to your music. And if your music is the quality needed, and that's a big if, then they'll work with you to get your music out there. We have 250,000 people that listen to new music monthly on our website, and that's a great jump start. You can't get 20, 30 million people to listen to your song overnight, but if you want that jump start to get to the first level, we're the place to do it. So contact us with your new music, only if it's hot, only if you have something dope, and we'll be able to work something out with you to get your music out there. We're looking for the next big thing. We have the Now Hip Hop record label that we're going to launch a little bit later in the year. So we're going to be able to produce our own artists, fund our own artists, distribute our own artists, shoot our own music videos. So, we're just looking for raw, hot talent at nowhiphop.com. Contact us by clicking the contact page on nowhiphop.com. And thank you for mentioning my Twitter, Moe Rock Online. That's also a great way to contact me.
Do you rap at all anymore?
John, no, I don't.
Me either.
Yeah, but I was hoping you could give me a 16 bars this morning.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to wait for next time for that. He is Moe Rock. Moe, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, and send some of your folks our way, and we'll see you back in a little while as well.
Hey, John, peace and love. Thanks so much for the time.
Good to see you. He is Moe Rock. I am Jon Leiberman. This is Rapping with Leiberman. Real news, rappers' points of view. We'll see you next time. We're presented by EveryJoe.com. See you then. Bye-bye.